What is going on, everybody? It is Grizzly back with another video. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. Please hit the subscribe button because we want to welcome you to this family, because that's what this really is. You know, I'm not a social media influencer. Like, that's not like something, like what? Ugh. I have no desire. I mean, first of all, I don't have nearly enough of a following yet to be a social media influencer. But even if I did, ugh, gross. No. These are my people. These are my family. These are the people who are gonna follow me until the end. Like, I don't want, no. You're my family. Even if I don't know even like a handful of you, you're still my family because you took the time to give a shit about my passion, you know? That's the number one thing that I fucking hate about my biggest pet peeve. My biggest is when celebrities are mean to their fans. I fucking hate that shit. It makes me so angry. Because without them, they wouldn't be who they are. You know? That kind of shit is unacceptable. The only way it's acceptable is if they like violate a very clear boundary, you know? If they were a dick to you first, then obviously. But I'm saying like, the fan just wants a picture, they just want an autograph, and then the fucking, celebrity, whoever, is just a dickhead for no reason. And I guess that brings me to my topic today, or my second topic for the day. I want to talk about ego for a minute. Ego has been on my mind recently. I am a little bit of a narcissist at times. I can be very self-absorbed. I can be very into me. I am aware of it, and I think that's the first step to a large extent correcting it. But I wouldn't even say that, like, for my narcissistic behavior that I sometimes engage in, or the narcissistic thoughts that I have, I used to put a label on them. I used to put a label on feeling miserable. Like, if I'm just genuinely unhappy, that day in particular, or even that month or that year, I don't put a label on it. I don't put a label on my flaws, for instance, and take on the belief and the energy of this is a bad thing. I just navigate it and I harness it as best I can. Can I be a little self-absorbed at times? You're damn right. I can, of course. That's why I like my solitude. I spend more time alone than around other people, which is a good thing and a bad thing, I think. There's definitely pros and cons. I certainly could spend more time around other people. It definitely would not hurt. And I've been trying to get out a little bit more here lately to kind of correct that, like on a Friday night or a Saturday night, get out, actually do something. But I can just be very into me at times, and it does make me feel like shit to a degree, and I do get down on myself about it sometimes, but then I just have to remember that that's not me. I am very loving, very giving, very supportive of the people that I care about, my friends and things. It's just that I don't feel like, I don't always feel like myself sometimes. And I think that everybody goes through that, I have some days where I wake up and most days now I wake up and I'm pretty good for the most part up here. There are other days where I wake up and I just, nothing can make me happy. I have days like that. If you want to put a label on it and call it depression, fine, whatever. You know, I'm not going to fight or dispute with, you know, with you on that. I don't really know whether or not I have quote unquote chemical depression, because the thing is, I know what makes me happy and what makes me unhappy. And I just kind of try to navigate that as best I can. And then, you know, most days, me doing the things that I know are going to bring me out of the slump once I start to crawl back in it, most days that works. Some days it fucking doesn't. You know? And that's okay. You know, I think what we choose to do with our pain and our emotion is ultimately what matters, you know, because you should embrace the fact and be happy about the fact that you're not happy every single day. Because think about it this way, right? If you were happy every day and you had a perfect day every day, you don't think that it would get old, but eventually you would crash out. Because what happens when you're happy for too long, happy people can do stupid, reckless shit too. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge that, but there's a lot of happy people, really people who are happy most of the time, that kind of lose their shit and they bug out. Because they keep so much in the surface, you know? I think that, like, when you see these people who on the surface are happy all the fucking time, what they're hiding is that there's a part of them that's dead inside. Now, some people, a lot of people who are like that are genuinely just happy people. But you can normally tell the difference. You can tell the difference between the people who are genuinely just happy the majority of the time and the people who are kind of winging it and faking the funk. You know? And when you're highly perceptive like that, it's pretty easy to tell the difference. But where I'm going with all of this and what I'm saying is, don't attach a label to sadness, to anger, to grief, to frustration. Understand that sometimes you have to sit with the feelings and kind of let them go away on their own. And then, of course, there are things that you can do to combat those feelings, not get rid of them, you know, not push them away, but mitigate them so that not every second of every day is spent in misery. You know, it's like I talked about in a previous video, you know, spring will always go back to winter, and winter will go back to spring, and spring will become summer, and summer will become fall, and fall will become winter, and winter will come back around and become spring again. You know, that's the roller coaster of life. And, you know, I think for me at least, when I was at my lowest point, it was because I was doing everything that I could to try to get rid of the feelings altogether. So, of course, that comes in the form of substances, that comes in the form of alcohol, you know, and other self-destructive behavior. And so for me, when I was at my lowest, and I know for a lot of other people at their lowest, they chase hedonistic things. But the problem with that mentality is that it, for one, engaging in like those high dopamine activities, for one, it's very temporary, you know, A. B, it makes you way too happy when you shouldn't be. And C, once the high wears off, the feelings are still there. And again, like, I'm not telling anybody not to do anything. You know, you do what you want at your own discretion. I'm not preachy. But what I'm saying is, like, objectively, ultimately, chasing substances or chasing money or chasing anything to try to fill the void rather than confronting it head on is never going to be a real or good solution to any problem. This is why rich people kill themselves. If you ask me, and I know it looks different for everyone, you know, obviously, because everybody's living a different reality and a different experience, but from my perspective and from my experience, you know, what was I going to say? I totally lost my train of thought. I had it and then it went away. What happiness looks like for me is waking up every single day and obviously pressing toward my end goal, but also waking up every single day and wanting to be better than the person that I was the day before. That to me is happiness. If I'm a little, even just a little bit better than the man that I was yesterday or a year ago or 5 years ago, every single day, just a little bit better, I'm winning. That's how I look at it, because, it's, again, just enjoy the space between where you are and where you're headed. The anxious man is living in the past, or I'm sorry, no. The anxious man is living in the future, and the depressed man is living in the past. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you did not enjoy this video, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And kiss my ass and eat it while you're at it. And I will see you all again in the next video. Peace, love, and light.